Humans were banned from judgment. Then a Deathworld girl ended the trial. The alien judge had already raised the execution seal when the little human girl stood up. She was 12 years old, barefoot, unarmed, and the most feared court in the galaxy had ordered that no human was allowed to speak. "Sit down, child," the judge said. The girl looked at him. No. The entire chamber went silent, because everyone in that room knew what happened to humans who disobeyed the Galactic Judgment Court. They disappeared. For 300 years, humanity had been forbidden from serving as judges, witnesses, or legal authorities. The reason was simple. Humans were considered too emotional, too violent, too attached to individuals. The galaxy believed justice required cold logic. Humans had proven they could not provide it. But nobody knew the real reason humanity had accepted the ban. They had not been defeated. They had been protecting everyone. The trial was being held on Veyrax, a world where the mountains were taller than cities and the atmosphere could kill most species within minutes. A death world. And inside the Grand Judgment Chamber stood a creature that had terrified the galaxy for decades. A black-scaled beast called a Dravak. It had 6 legs, 4 arms, and wings large enough to cover a transport ship. The Dravak had been accused of destroying 17 colonies, billions of credits in damage, thousands of deaths. Every piece of evidence pointed toward one conclusion: guilty. The Alien Council wanted the execution broadcast across the galaxy. The Dravak stood chained beneath the judgment platform. It did not struggle. It did not roar. It simply lowered its enormous head. Then the judge spoke. By authority of the Galactic Council, the creature known as Kharos is sentenced to death. The execution seal began to glow. That was when the girl stood. Her name was Mara Vale, and nobody had noticed her before. She had arrived with the human scientific delegation as a junior, environmental assistant. The aliens had laughed when they saw her. A child from Earth, a Deathworld species. No armor, no rank, no authority. Just a small girl carrying an old metal case. The judge stared at her. "You were ordered to remain silent." Mara looked at Kharos, then at the 17 colony images displayed above the chamber. "Your evidence is wrong." The chamber erupted. The judge slammed his staff against the floor. "Humanity has no legal authority here." "I know." "Then sit down." Mara shook her head. "I can't." The judge narrowed his eyes. "Why?" Mara pointed at Kharos. "Because he's not the killer." Silence. Then laughter. Hundreds of alien delegates laughed. The judge almost smiled. "Child, 17 colonies were destroyed. His biological signature was found at every site." Mara opened her metal case. Inside was a collection of strange instruments. She removed one. "It isn't his biological signature." The judge frowned. "It is." "No." She connected the device to the chamber's main display. A new image appeared. The room became quiet. It showed the 17 destroyed colonies, but beneath each image appeared another layer. A pattern. Mara spoke softly. The energy residue at every colony came from the same source. The chief prosecutor stepped forward. "Which source?" Mara looked at Kharos. "His enemy." The prosecutor laughed. "You expect us to believe a child over 17 planetary investigations?" "No." Mara pressed another button. "I expect you to believe your own data." The screen changed. The energy pattern formed a perfect circle. Then another. Then another. The circles connected. A map appeared, and every destroyed colony was located along one invisible line. The judge stared. "What is that?" Mara answered. "A hunting trail." Kharos suddenly lifted his head. For the first time, the creature moved. His eyes locked onto Mara. A strange sound came from his throat. Not a roar. A cry. Mara froze. Then she whispered, "You know." Kharos nodded. The chamber erupted again. "Silence." But Mara walked toward him. The guards raised their weapons. "Stop." She ignored them. Kharos was enormous. One of his claws was larger than Mara's entire body. Yet when she reached him, she did something no alien expected. She placed her hand against his scales. Kharos trembled. Mara felt his heartbeat. Slow, weak, terrified. "You're hurt," she whispered. Kharos lowered his head. Mara looked beneath his wing. There was a deep scar, not a battle wound. A surgical scar. Her expression changed. "Who did this to you?" Kharos made a low clicking sound. Mara understood none of it. But then she noticed something attached to the scar, a tiny metal implant. She removed her scanner. The device screamed. Artificial neural control. The prosecutor stepped backward. That is impossible. Mara looked at him. No. She held up the scanner. What's impossible is that 17 colonies were attacked by one creature, who was being controlled from somewhere else. The judge demanded, "Locate the controller." Mara smiled sadly. "I already did." She pointed toward the observation balcony. Everyone turned. There stood a group of military officials from the Varkun Dominion, the same empire that had supplied the evidence, the same empire that had demanded Kharos' execution. One of them slowly reached for his weapon. The chamber guards reacted instantly. Within seconds, the balcony was surrounded. The truth came out quickly. The Varkun Dominion had implanted Kharos years earlier. They used him as a living weapon. They sent him toward remote colonies. They destroyed the settlements. Then they blamed him. Why? Because Kharos came from a rare Deathworld species. His bones contained a mineral found nowhere else in the galaxy. The Varkun wanted it, and an executed monster could never testify. The courtroom became completely silent. The judge stared at Mara. "How did you know?" Mara looked down at her small hands. "Because humans made the same mistake once." The judge said nothing. Mara continued. "On Earth, we learned something a long time ago." She looked at the frightened Dravak. "Justice isn't about finding someone to punish." Her voice became stronger. "It is about finding the truth. Before you hurt someone who cannot defend themselves." Kharos slowly lowered himself to the ground. Then he did something impossible. He folded all four arms around Mara. The guards panicked. But Mara didn't move. She simply rested her head against his chest. The enormous creature began to make a quiet sound, almost like crying, and for the first time in 300 years, the Galactic Judgment Court witnessed something humans had been forbidden from showing them: mercy. The judge lowered his execution seal. Then he removed his ceremonial crown. "I have served this court for 80 years, he said. "I believed humans were too emotional to judge." He looked at Mara. "I was wrong." Mara shook her head. "No." The judge frowned. She smiled. "You weren't wrong about humans." The chamber waited. "You were wrong about what makes justice strong." She looked at the alien delegates. "Logic can tell you what happened." Her hand remained on Kharos' scales, but compassion makes you ask why. Nobody laughed this time. The next morning, the Galactic Council officially ended the human ban. But Mara never became a judge. She returned to Earth. Years later, a statue was built outside the Judgment Court. It showed a tiny human girl standing beside a massive Dravak. No weapons, no armor, no throne. Just one hand touching the creature's scales. Beneath the statue were 7 words. "Justice begins when we choose to listen." And every generation of alien judges learned the story of the little Deathworld girl who ended a trial. Not with a weapon, not with power, but with the one thing the galaxy had forgotten: humanity.